He said it's been a while since I did a training. In fact, I am so excited. For the people who do not know me, my name is Daisy Tonui, and I am a manager in the business. And I met this business at a point in my life when I really needed it. Student, you know how the life of a student is on a daily basis. You look forward to getting upkeep from your parent, and sometimes things can get a bit tough. So this was literally the answer that I was looking for, because even before I came across it, I had already started thinking of what can I do to create that extra income that I needed in my life. I thought of agriculture, I thought of fashion, I thought of several other industries, but before I could venture into any of them, a friend told me about this business, and so far I can say this has been the best decision that I made ever in my life. And tonight I'm excited to train you about a topic that I feel is very important in our line of business. And most of the time, one thing that I normally feel personally when it comes to this line of topic is that we're never given the full blueprint. It's something that you have to learn by observation or sometimes attending trainings, but to some extent, you really can't get it right completely. It's something that you normally have to learn from, sometimes making mistakes and looking at how you can become better and how you can impact people better. So I want you to think about tonight's training as more of a test. If you have a pen and a paper, this would actually be really good for yourself, so that you can also be able to range yourself in terms of the several qualities that I'm going to mention. And from that, you're going to be able to know what exactly do you need to improve on, what exactly do you need to change, and what else can you basically make some improvements here and there, so that you can become a better leader, a person who will impact people more better in the generations to come, or with the leaders that come across your way. So let me share my screen. Wait. Okay. So as I said, kindly first let me know if you can see my screen. I'm about to start my slideshow. Yes. Okay. So the topic of today is basically the 10 traits of network marketing leaders. I call this the blueprint to leadership, because these are the most basic things to leadership that we all require in our business. And as I mentioned earlier, if you can have a paper and a pen so that you can also rank yourself as we go through this training one by one, it will really be a good way for you to gauge yourself and see what you need to improve on as a person as we proceed forward in these months to come. So the first element of the network marketing leaders is, first of all, coaching. There's a difference between training and there's a difference to coaching. What many of us do is more training, in the sense that you call your team for a team training, or rather team CISO. You share some nuggets on some very important topics. People sit down, take notes. But question is, how many people actually go through their notes after training? Even before you think about your team, think about yourself as a leader. How many trainings have you been through that you sat down for, that you actually wrote the trainings, and even after you wrote down the things that you learned from that training, later on you started thinking about, you reviewed your notebook and then started asking yourself, what can I improve on? Or basically, you took the time to review your notes to see what to change and what to become better. That is more of what we do with our teams. That is more of training. But most of the time, when you think about the impact that training has on our teams, most of the times, it really doesn't get the required results that we're really looking forward to getting from our teams. So when it comes to coaching, the difference with training and coaching is that when it comes to coaching, you take your people through a training, and after taking your people through a training, you give them tasks to carry out after that training. In the sense that, like, for example, I'm going to use this as an example because this is one of the most basic examples. When you have somebody new that you're taking through one step, or from one step to the other, you're orientating them with the business and everything that this business requires. And then you get to a point whereby you tell them, go write down your 100+ list. And then after writing down your 100+ list, come back so that you can be able to see, come back with your list so that you can see who to call and make sure that you've categorized these people in the SOW category, you know. That is just an example. It's a task that you've given to your new member for them to actually go and do after this training. And you know, at the end of the day, how fast these people come back to you with the task that you actually gave them, it basically shows you the level of hunger that they have in terms of their business, you know. And if you know that you actually do coaching and not training, give yourself a 1. As I said, this is going to be more of a personal test. And from there, you're going to be able to see where exactly you need to, you know, make improvements on, and where exactly you maybe have a problem on. So if you are a person who coaches your team and you're basically more of a coach instead of more being a trainer with your team, give yourself a 1. If not, then give yourself a 0. Okay. Second of all, the second trait that we all need to have as network marketing leaders is character. And here's the question that I will pose to everyone. Do you believe you have strong character? And when I talk about character, I'm talking about going through storms and coming out of the storms in a way that it literally grew you. You know, when you're facing a storm, do you hold? I mean, do you fold? Do you flop? Or do you stick it through? Do you try and escape the storm, or do you do whatever you can do to go through it and come out on the other side? And what I mean by character is there are times in our businesses whereby we all experience a dip in the business. Maybe initially things are really good, and then maybe it gets to a point whereby people in your team leave, or maybe there's something else that is distracting your team. So people are not really they're not really as productive as the way they were, you know. So your business takes a dip. So what do you do when your business takes a dip? Do you actually decide to get back to the ground, do the activities that you need to do for you to actually build something stronger? Or do you decide to take a break from the business from the point of view whereby you tell yourself, I do not need to stress myself. In fact, I'm going to find a better distraction. And so maybe you find yourself overindulging in things that basically they're more of distractions, but the problem on this other side is still growing, instead of you actually directing your attention on what exactly is happening on this other side. You know, most of the times we tell our teams, you know, we see our teams go through some of these things, and we have high expectations for them. We have high expectations on what we expect them to do. But at the end of the day, as leaders, do we hold ourselves against the same standards of expectations? So same thing to you. I know if you had a team member who would be going through this, you definitely encourage them. You tell them, you know what, it's about time you go back to work. It's about time you decide to rebuild this and focus on all the things that you need to do so that you can get better results. But when it comes to you, most of the times we end up giving ourselves less pressure as compared to what we really actually need to do. So remember, at the end of the day, you grow through something that you go through, you know. So if you believe you have strong character, in other words, you do not avoid the problem, you decide to solve it as it is, give yourself a 1. If not, then give yourself a 0. Okay. Then the third training traits that we all need to have as network marketing leaders is basically communication. Now, when it comes to communication is a very, very vast topic, in the sense that there are so many aspects of communication that we all need to look at. And I feel like this is one of the most important traits that we need to have as network marketing leaders, because I've seen that this is something that really does impact a lot of success, especially with our teams. First things first, how often are you in touch with your team? Do you call them on a daily basis? Do you decide to ring them up and see what exactly is going on? You know, at the end of the day, when you're in touch with your team, is this energy that they get from you. There's this sense of care that they get from you, and it definitely does motivate them to feel that you genuinely care for them, and you know you have their best interests at heart. And also, do you know what's really going on in their lives? You know, I believe open communication and genuine relations in your team is the beginning of success in any team, because most of the times you find that there's probably a problem that's happening in the team, you know. Maybe something's going on, and you as the leader, you probably do not have any idea why, because you do not have proper open channels of communication in the team. So you probably do not even have any idea. So communication is not always through words, but it's also through your actions. How do you lead your team? What do you show your team to do? You know, one of the best effective ways of leading your team is basically through action. And always do what you said you will do. Do you communicate to your team the vision of what you look forward to creating in your team? Do you speak success to your team? Do you speak of the major wins you're about to tick with your team, even if Some of them are not immediate wins. If there's anything I carry from one of my former mentors or other uplines, he had a habit of speaking so much success. We would sit down and then he would start telling us things like, you guys do not know the things we're about to do. We're about to do some massive, massive things. Hey, in fact, this warehouse will not even believe. And the impact that I remember those words used to have on me as a new person, I used to think about them and I'd feel like, wow, you'd feel this motivation, you'd feel this gust of energy that's coming from them, and you'd tell yourself, you know what, it would actually motivate me to do more. So do you speak positivity to your team? Do you speak positivity about your team? When you talk to other people about your team, what comes out of your mouth about them? Are you the kind of leader who just speaks some really ill words about them? Because fact is, whether you know it or not, at some point they'll probably get to know what exactly you said about them. And also at the end of the day, do you make them believe in themselves more because of what you speak to them as a leader? So, and also at the same time, do you feed yourself? Remember, an empty cup has nothing to pour. So if you believe you are a great communicator, give yourself a 1. If not, then definitely you can just give yourself a 0. I hope I'm communicating with you guys, and I hope you guys are getting this nuggets in this training, because these are very, very important things to talk about. The fourth trait we all need to have as network marketing leaders is commitment. How committed are you in building your business? How committed are you in helping the people in your organization see success? You're probably committed. You may be committed to the activities that you as a person need to do, but at the same time, do you show your team the same commitment that you show your basic daily work? If you've never gone through trying times or a dip in your business, you'll not really know the extent of your commitment. That is a fact. It's easy to say you're committed, but when the storm hits, that's when you know how committed you are. Commitment is when everyone else is looking left and right, and you're still committed to keeping your eyes on the goal right in front of you. Commitment is when everyone else is jumping ship, you're committed, you're still focused, or basically you're committed to keeping your mind steady on the sail, because that is exactly what you feel you really need. Commitment is even when you've gone to so many company events, you still show up for the next. In other words, no matter how many times you do a certain activity, you never get tired of doing it, because at the end of the day, you know the effects of that activity. No matter how many company trainings you've been through, you definitely still show up for the next company trainings. Committed leaders also support all events going on in their teams. Even if they won't show up physically for it, they can still stream in or show their support in one way or another. At the end of the day, your team will still feel your sense of presence, your sense of being there with them. And yeah, there's always that effect that it will definitely have on them. So if you feel that you're really good in terms of your commitment, in other words, you really give it your all, then definitely give yourself a 1. If not, then you can give yourself a 0 on that trait. Then there's contagious energy. Now, when it comes to contagious energy, do you feel that you attract people in your team because they see your energy is so contagious that they just have to have more? I'm sure we've all interacted with some leaders in our warehouse, and you feel like you just want to keep on hanging around them more, or you just feel like you just want to keep on talking to them more, because there's this contagious energy, some contagious vibes that they give you, that you just feel like, I really need to keep on feeding more and more and more of this. Is the social media exploding because people can't get enough of your energy? Are you getting enough invites to different Zoom calls or company events as a speaker because of your energy? Energy comes from immersing yourself in the business. Immersion to the point it's like you're breathing forever, you're dreaming forever, you're eating forever. It also comes with constantly putting in the work backed up by your belief. This is also when you're passing around good energy, good vibes. And again, at the same time, contagious energy has a way of creating contagious belief. When people interact with you, they feel like they can conquer the world. I remember there's a time I was talking to one of the leaders in the warehouse, one of my uplines, and the way she talked to me, I remember leaving that conversation and thinking to myself, wow, she really does inspire the best parts of me. She really does make me feel like I can just go out there and conquer whatever comes my way, because when she speaks to me with so much passion, so much excitement, so much contagious energy, contagious belief. It's like it just somehow gets to me, So if it's this is something that, first of all, by the way, it's not everyone that normally has it. It's something that you'll just learn over time. And don't really be hard on yourself when it comes to this trait. But eventually, once you hack it, you'll see the major difference in your business. So if yes, give yourself a 1. If no, then you can give yourself a 0 on that trait. Then there is caring. Caring is one of the most important traits in our business, because at the end of the day, we are dealing with human beings who have feelings, human beings who have emotions, human beings who genuinely will never forget how you treated them at some point in their business, or rather at some point when you interacted with them. So do you feel like you genuinely care for everyone's success in the company? Do you genuinely care for the success of your cross lines? Do you genuinely care for the success of your own team? Or do you get worked up when you see some of them growing beyond you? I remember when all teams win, the company grows. When the company grows, we can do more as Forever Kenya. We definitely get more and more support. This is not just something that is just about you alone. There's the bigger vision, the bigger image, the bigger impact that it has, even as us together as Forever Kenya. It's okay to be competitive and want to win, but definitely not at the cost of other people's teams. The true power in Forever is the power of love. Most of the times we think about that statement, we tell that statement to our teams, we tell that statement to the new people that we bring into the company. But by the time, have you ever really sat down and asked yourself, why did our founders really coin this statement and put it as one of the most impactful mission statements in our company? What was the reason behind it? When you get to interact more and more in this business, you'll understand that if you do anything in this business without love, to some extent, it definitely does come to bite you, especially when it comes to the way you relate with people, the way you relate with your clients. You need to have love. You need to have genuine care. You need to look at everyone from this angle of view whereby you just can't wait to see them do better. At the end of the day, our industry is a very interesting industry in the sense that we should celebrate other people's success, because when we see other people's success, it just shows us the impact that it shows us the possibility that we can all grow to those levels of success, even us ourselves as leaders. So if you feel that this is a trait that you may probably are struggling with, you can give yourself a 1. If not, then you can. If you feel that this is a trait you possess, you can give yourself a 1. If not, then you can give yourself a 0. Okay, so the 7th trait is something that we call consistency. And with consistency, that's all about you. How consistent are you in your business? How often do you show up in your daily action? Do you track your own consistency? Most of the times we tell ourselves, I'm a full-time business owner. Now, there's a time back, I remember there's a book I read, and it's The Compounding Effect. And there's a part that the author mentioned that if you really want to train, if you really want to see how good you are at doing something, or if you really want to enforce new habits in your life, you need to be very, very intentional with consistently tracking these new habits. So I decided to take some time and, track what I'm doing in terms of my daily activity as a business owner. And one thing I came to realize is on those days that we feel like we are very productive, when you actually look at the things you've done on that day, it's not really that much. It's not really that much in terms of things that you can tell yourselves, wow, I feel like I'm really doing well in terms of my consistency here. You'll be shocked to see how little you do on a daily basis if you intentionally decide to track your daily work. And you'll be shocked to see how much you miss out on the activities that make a difference in this business. At the end of the day, there are these little bare minimums that we all need to have in terms of our work. For example, there's the morning routine. In our team, we normally have something we call the morning routine, and then we also have the evening routine. So they're simplified things that we've actually put down in terms of our teams, in terms of how many clients you need to call on a daily basis, how many people you need to reach out to, how many team members you need to call on a daily basis. So there are these little elements here and there that if you miss to do on a daily basis in your business, you'll definitely feel the pinch. So how consistent are you in doing this daily, these activities that make a difference in your business? So if you feel that you have already hacked consistency, you can give yourself a 1. If not, give yourself a 0. And one thing I'll also say about consistency, if you struggle with consistency, you need to find something that motivates you to be very consistent and keep yourself focused. If you can manage to hack doing a habit for a period of 2 to 3 months, it gets to a point whereby it will constantly be at the back of your mind, especially when you miss out to do this activity. You'll be thinking to yourself, wow, I haven't done this daily. I haven't done this today. I haven't done this today. So it will get to a point whereby you'll be inspired to actually take the action that you need to take for you to take that off your list. So find something that will motivate you to be consistent. What's your why? What's that powerful emotional reason? Is it your family? Is it you? You can also be your own why, when I say your own why, are you all about personal development? Is it that when you think about yourself, are you the kind of person that you tell yourself, if I can be the best version of myself, I feel that is a really, really important, impactful why. So that is also something that you can also use as your own reason, but it's different from one person. For another person, it can be their own kids. That's all about you. Yes. So the eighth trait that we need to have success as network marketers is something we call collaboration. And when I talk about collaboration has so many different aspects. I'm going to talk about collaboration in terms of working with other teams. Are you a collaborator or are you a competitor? Do you compete or do you collaborate with other people? When we decide to come together as one in terms of working with each other, there's a lot we actually tend to achieve. We tend to build some really massive stuff. I've seen trainings whereby people call another special trainer from another team to come and do the training for them. Those are the kind of collaborations I'm talking about. When you compete, you can compete with yourself, but make sure you collaborate with other people in the company with the same vision as you, people who have the same ideology as you, people who have the same direction as you are looking for. We do more together as one with the same vision. And I remember at the end of the day, we is better than me. In our kind of business, we is definitely better than me. You can be all about me, but it will get to a point whereby that statement will be so frustrating you wouldn't even want to hear it much, because it's not giving you the kind of progress that you're looking for. So ask yourself, who can I collaborate with? Who can I who's good at something that probably I am not good at, so that they can teach me, and what can they learn from me? Do you have people in the warehouse who probably are your what do we call them? Are your accountability partners, and they're probably not from your team. And I'm sure together, when you guys work together, you've done so much in terms of impacting your teams, impacting yourselves. So if you feel that you're really good in terms of collaboration, then definitely give yourself a 1. If no, then give yourself a 0 on that same trait. Then there's the 98, which is basically, do you create, or rather, do you inspire confidence within your team? I believe confidence comes from a lot of things. It comes from experience, and belief in what you're doing definitely does create activity. Then activity creates experience. Experience creates confidence, and then again, confidence creates belief. It's basically an endless cycle, you know. Most of the time when you think about, I'm going to use a basic example. For example, the way you talk to your team, the way you talk to your clients. When a client comes to you with an objection, most of the time you find yourself telling yourself that sorry, I was just looking at the chat box. Yes, when it comes to the way you talk to your clients, you find yourself talking to your clients with so much confidence, because this is something that you know inside and out. This is something that you've experienced. This is something that you've taken the activity, you've probably done some activities for you to be able to understand more. Like, for example, if it's along the line of losing weight, you've done your research, you know why people do not lose weight, you know why people do not struggle, why people struggle with losing weight, such that when your client comes to you, you've already gone through this process to a point whereby you understand it completely. And from there, you now speak with confidence. So when it comes to your team, are you doing things that make people believe in themselves more to take action? It's one thing to tell your team, oh guys, you need to go and do this, it's going to impact you, it's going to change this in your business, it's going to do that. But question is, are you doing things as a leader that inspires them to take more action? Are you doing things as a leader that inspires more confidence in your team? There's something I was just looking at going back, and I remember there's one of my friends. I was just looking at the way her team was really growing impactfully, and if there's anything I learned from her majorly was that I remember when she got into action, when she decided she's going to go into a recruiting spree, she also made sure that her team is seeing that she's in a recruiting spree. And eventually it inspired the same team to take more action. It inspired the same team to actually recruit more. And right now, when you look at the team, she's not the only person who has several other, so many people in her team. Even the people in her team have people, because her own actions, her own, the things that she was doing inspired these people to take more action in terms of what they need to do on a daily basis. So do not be the kind of leader who goes and tells your team, guys, this is good for us. We need to do this because it's going to help us to this and this. No, show them with your actions. So are you doing things as a leader that inspires more confidence in your team? And when it comes to inspiring more confidence in your team, there's this thing I remember my upline used to tell me years back. Do not let me be the person who believes in you more than you believe in yourself. So it got to a point whereby I had this statement over and over again, that it got to a point whereby I used to tell myself, is this is a person who's seeing this in me? This is my upline who's seeing, if my mentor sees this much in me, then I will fail myself if I do not see the same in myself. So are you building the belief in people that eventually builds their confidence? When people leave a conversation with you, do they leave feeling like they have the confidence they need to conquer the world? Do they feel like they have everything, even if they do not have the skills that they require for them to actually do whatever it is that they need to do? I remember there's a time when I was starting this business. I think I was an assistant supervisor, and at that time we have this team, we had this travel company incentive, it was Rock the Boat. And I remember there's a leader who trained on Rock the Boat. And I remember what happened is that when she finished training, I was an assistant supervisor, but she spoke with so much, she inspired a lot of confidence in me, and not only me, but so many other people. To the point whereby I remember we actually ended up teaming up, me and my upline then, and we left the warehouse immediately to go prospect people, to go look for people to join our business, to go look for people who can be our customers, even though we did not have the skill that we needed at that point to be able to get the results that we were looking for. So the same thing for you. Look for activities that can inspire more confidence in your team. Look for more activities that can create the confidence that they need for them to actually go out there and believe that nothing is without it's outside their reach. So if you are this kind of leader, then definitely give yourself a 1. If not, then give yourself a 0. I hope people are following what we are training on tonight. I don't know. Yes, then the last trait, sorry, yes, then the last trait, community. Let me just look at the chat box. Okay, I can see what you guys are saying. So, community. Are you building a community within your organization? Guys, let me tell you one thing. You may have a team. You can bring people. You can have people working with you. But even if you do not have people working with you, and even if you have people working with you, and okay, sorry, I was just a bit confused there. Sorry, there was a bit of confusion there. I ended up muting myself without knowledge. So as I was saying, yes, you build a community. Are you building a community within your organization? Be the kind of leader who inspires people to come together as a group. In other words, do you have activities that make people feel loved, cherished, and cared for? Are you creating a space that people feel loved, cherished, and cared for? Because at the end of the day, if you do not have a community where people feel like they're appreciated, they are cared for, they are loved, you definitely will not get what you are looking for, because it gets to a point whereby people get tired by the people get tired. Um, People get tired. People start feeling like, why are these people doing these things here and there? At the end of the day, remember, guys, you're leading a team of number one, um, intelligent people. Number two, a team of volunteers. So if you do not make people feel loved, if you do not make people feel cherished, if you do not make people feel cared for, it's very easy for them to leave. Do you make these people feel seen, even when they are not selling, even when they're doing well business wise or not? Are you making them feel like they are part of you? If not, then that is how you're going to be having massive attrition, because fact is, let's be honest, in our business, we all had a point whereby we weren't as active as other people were, you know. We all had a point in our business whereby we were seeing other people win, but us, we were just watching from the sidelines, you know. And honestly, let's say at that point in your business, if your upline didn't make you feel seen, if your upline didn't make you feel heard, if your upline did not really appreciate you or even make you feel like you're part of the team, or even make you feel like you're even making a difference, would you really be here today? You know? So if you are creating a community, then definitely give yourself a one. If not, then give yourself a zero. So yes, as I said earlier, after making sure that you've given yourself all those scores, um, now rate yourself out of 10. Yeah. Let me just start from the first. Let me just take you back a little. I just want to, yes, the first trait we talked about was coaching. So if you're a really good person in terms of coaching your team, in the sense that you give your team assignments after every team training, then give yourself a one. If not, remember that was a zero. Character, do you go through your storm or do you go around your storm? You know, the leaders, by the way, I really look up to in terms of this because they inspire so much in terms of strong character. So if yes, give yourself a one. If not, then give yourself a zero. Communication. How good are you in terms of communication with your team? If yes, give yourself a one. If not, then give yourself a zero. Commitment. Remember what I talked about in terms of that. If you are committed to the business and you yourself, you're rating yourself, guys. Remember, you're not giving this to your upline, so you don't have to give yourself some really false answers. If yes, give yourself a one. If not, then give yourself a zero. Contagious energy, same thing. Give yourself a one if you have it. Many people don't really master this immediately. It takes time, but once you do, you'll see a difference. If not, give yourself a zero. Caring, if your team genuinely does feel the care, if everyone in the company feels you care, at the end of the day, that's different. It's very easy for you to wish success for the people in your team, but when it comes to wishing success for other people that are not in your team, for your cross lines, for basically people not related to you in any way, at the end of the day, then definitely give yourself a zero if you do not possess those traits. Remember, when all teams win, the company definitely does grow. And when the company grows, it gives us more supporters forever Kenya, and we have more impact together as one. Then there's just a little. Yes, there's consistency. With consistency, give yourself a one if you are consistent. If not, give yourself a zero. Collaboration, how much of a collaborator are you, or are you a competitor? If you are a collaborator, then give yourself a one. If not, then a zero. If you create/inspire confidence within your team, within people in your team, then, and also another thing with creating and inspiring confidence, there's this thing Ericori normally talks about. I don't know if you guys can look for this video after this. He mentions about something in relation to making sure your team crosses a line. And once your team crosses a line, do activities that keep your team above the line. This line is the line of, not going back on themselves, quitting and all those things. So yes, look for that training after this. I think I'll share the link. It will basically reiterate whatever I'm trying to talk about in this point. So if first give yourself a one, if not give yourself a zero, then there's community. That was the last point. If you are building a community, people feel loved, cherished, and cared for, then give yourself a one, if not give yourself a zero. So out of 10, what did you score? If your score is below 5, there's a lot you need to work on. If your score is around the range of 9, 10, or 8 to 9, you should be a top earner. We should not actually be, you should be a person who's doing so much. I mean, you should be a person who's impacting us so much in terms of, you should be a person who's earning so much, because once you possess these traits, there's a lot of difference that it definitely does make. So with that, I think I will close or rather end my training tonight. I didn't want to take so much time. I hope that you take this lesson with you wherever you go. And I hope that you carry this forward and always have them at the back of your mind, because the moment you lose out on this, there's always something that just starts falling through within the lines of the organization. So with that, I think I'll hand this back to our MD, Emmanuel. I hope you can hear me. You can close the meeting for us.
Thank you, Daisy, for that amazing training. You've reminded us of what I would call expectations on what or how we need to be or carry ourselves. It's important, 10 amazing nuggets in terms of character. Now that we are team leaders, when you're a team leader, so much is always expected of us to do. Coaching, character, communication, commitment, contagious energy, and maybe out of the 10, I would add time management. I'm sure it will feature somewhere, discipline and all that. So we can always talk or add more points to this. But I think you've given us the basic ones, and we can work with this as we move on. So thank you so much. I hope it was helpful, or I believe it was helpful. The 55 minutes we've been here. I don't have much from this end rather than really appreciate your time for being here. And we call it an evening. Thank you guys. Have a good evening. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.